Moniquea Martinez, and this is my culturally responsive library audit project that was done at Palomino Primary School in the Paradise Valley School District, where I interned at. This school is located in a low income area north of Greenway Parkway and east of Cave Creek Road. My class was made up of 10 4-year-old girls and only 5 4-year-old boys, all of which are Hispanic and 2 biracial, which are Hispanic and white. All the students are also English language learners. First, we'll talk about gender in the books. Um, I selected 50 books at random from the classroom library to find out how culturally responsive the collection was. I checked for both mirrors and windows that would apply to the students. In the gender category, I found that the main characters were overwhelmingly male. 43% were non human males, while 31% were human males. This contrasted with the female characters, of which were 7% non human females and 19% human females. Gender main characters. Here you can see the vast difference in the categories, with the male human and non-male human far in the majority. Notice how the bars are almost twice as high for male characters, which is surprising and concerning to me because there are mostly girls in my class, or in the class. So these two up here, main characters for male and non-human male main characters. Significantly different. Ethnicity was an area where the library was able to act as a great window in representing other ethnicities, but did not act as a great mirror in the representation of my students. All 15 of the students were of Hispanic descent, with 2 of mixed Hispanic and white descent in the class. Neither of these ethnic groups were represented in the story, surprisingly. The largest group was non-human characters, who were the main characters in 35 of the 50 selected books, followed by Caucasian descent appearing here to be excited over their representation in 9 of the books. There were no Asians or Hispanics represented in any of Palomino's library books. That very much saddened me. And only 3 books represented Native Americans and 3 books who were African American. Unfortunately, there were no books with characters having disabilities being represented. My students have no disabilities or family members who have any disabilities, so the library book, in terms of acting as a mirror for my students, was strong, but was not as far as a window, leaving all disability students ignored in the library collection, which I feel is so important for students to be aware of, to be familiarized with, and so these students with these disabilities can feel comfortable and welcomed in their classroom. None of the 50 books showed a family structure that was anything but the traditional mother and father, both living with their children. The class displayed a similar percentage, with only 2 of the 15 living with only 1 parent and having 3 siblings. This category made the family structure a mirror for the class. All the books are written in English only. Many of the children are Spanish speaking at home, but none of the books were in Spanish. None of the books were in any other language than English. The library acted as a great window in representing the English language, and which is helpful for my students who are all learning English, but does not help represent their own language spoken, and I would think that the school library and teachers would not want them to lose their first language. There is no economic diversity in any of the books found in the classroom. The characters did not appear to be anything but average economically. The children, however, are all in low-income families and on welfare programs. Therefore, this area serves as a window for the students. I found it to be strange that the settings were so unreflective of the children's lives. There were 35 books out of the 50 that were set in the winter in areas where snow fell. All the children live in the Phoenix area in the suburb of Paradise Valley, which is a desert setting. Although the settings in these books only had 1 book that was set in the desert, my students were able to look into other settings that are opposite of their own, which is great. My students' demographics. This graph represents the demographics of the classroom. As you can see, it shows percentages for those living in the desert, which all of them do, all religious, and they are Christians, two students who have a different family structure than the norm, two biracial students, and all students of Latinx descent, and 5 boys and 10 girls. Mirror or window. Books can serve as mirrors or windows for children. The mirrors show them characters like themselves represented through the stories. Children like seeing that. They also like the stories that act as windows. It helps them to connect to others as they view the lives of characters with different cultural backgrounds. Palomino Elementary School's library, I feel, did a great job in acting as a window and representing other people's perspectives, but I was saddened to see that the mirror was lacking in the representation of my students and their cultural background and beliefs.